I let my sister-in-law host her baby shower in my house, but she tried to kick me out of my own home during the party to impress her wealthy friend. I told her husband, and it led to their divorce. Now she's raising the baby alone. I'm 32. I've been married for 3 years. My husband, 35, and I have been together for 5 years, but right now, he works away from home, so we're long distance. He comes home every other weekend, so we can spend time together. We bought our own house a couple of months ago, right before he left. It's beautiful and right next to my parents' place, so it's easy for me to visit them, and for them to visit me. The house is pretty big, which I love. Even though I live alone most of the time, I like the feeling of space. Overall, it's a lovely home in a good neighborhood, and I enjoy living here. When we had our housewarming, we got a lot of compliments. Out of all the guests, my sister-in-law, Carrie, 32, loved it the most. She wouldn't stop gushing. We're not very close, but we've always been on good terms. A couple of weeks ago, she asked if she could host her baby shower at my place, and I agreed without hesitation. Even though we aren't close, she was pregnant, and I didn't want to say no. Plus, I spend a lot of time alone and thought it would be nice to meet new people and change things up a bit. I even took the day off. Carrie explained she wanted to do it at my place because she didn't want to spend a ton of money renting a venue, especially when I have such a beautiful house. Her house is fine too, just not as nice and smaller. I think all those compliments softened me up, so I couldn't refuse. And honestly, I had no reason to refuse. She'd always been kind to me. I had no idea what was coming, because even during the prep, she never hinted that I wasn't exactly a welcome guest at this event. I helped with planning. She came by almost every day for the last 2 weeks, so we could discuss the menu, catering, and decorations. I was involved and even looking forward to it. I thought it would help us get closer. How wrong I was. On the day, I helped the decorator set up the house about an hour before guests were due. 45 minutes before the start, Carrie arrived and thanked me for everything. She acted totally normal, like a friend. But 15 minutes before the guests were supposed to arrive, she suddenly asked where I planned to spend the next couple of hours. I was stunned and thought it was a joke. It was my house, hosting her baby shower. I fully expected to be at the party. I was dressed for it and had bought her a gift. I asked if she was joking, and with a straight face she said no. She laid out a few logical points that I hadn't considered because I'd been busy helping. Carrie said I hadn't received an invitation and my name wasn't on the guest list. And honestly, I had noticed that, but didn't think it mattered because I assumed I'd be invited and part of the event. I was helping organize it and letting her use my home for free. Anyone in my shoes would think the same, especially since we didn't have bad blood. Why would I assume I wasn't invited? I told her that, and she replied, "Sorry for the misunderstanding," but said she thought I was just helping her like a professional, which made no sense because I'm not a party planner. I work at a bank. I was really hurt. You could probably see it on my face. After a moment, she said she didn't want to argue. It wasn't the time for drama, and she didn't want to get upset because she was pregnant. Therefore, she said, I needed to leave because the event was only for close family and friends, a very limited circle, and unfortunately, I wasn't in that circle. She asked me to go before the guests arrived so there wouldn't be a scene, because this argument was upsetting her. I was furious. I walked out of the room and decided to call my husband to tell him what his sister had done. I went to the yard because I didn't know where else to go. He was busy at work and didn't pick up. He only texted. I was so angry I decided to do something unexpected and call her husband. Carrie's husband, Jim, 33, has been with her for 4 years, married too. I hadn't talked to him much, but he's usually quiet and reserved. After she told me to leave my own house, I was very upset and wanted payback. So I called him and told him everything. He listened and was silent for a long time. I apologized for dumping it on him, but I was hurt by how she treated me. Since I couldn't talk to Carrie without upsetting a pregnant woman, I decided to tell him so he could talk to her later. He apologized on her behalf, and I felt a bit better. Then he said I didn't need to leave my own home. That would be ridiculous. And he was coming over. He asked me to wait for him because he didn't want a fight to break out between me and Carrie, and for both of us to get upset. That sounded reasonable. I waited 15 minutes, and before the first guests arrived, Jim got to my place. Carrie was shocked to see him. As soon as I heard the doorbell, I went back inside. The three of us stood in the living room, and Jim said of course I could be at the baby shower, and I didn't need to go anywhere. Carrie tried to protest, but he gave her a stern look and she went quiet. She shot me dirty looks all evening, and I decided I would never deal with her again. I even considered canceling the party, but I didn't, because I'd put so much effort into it and didn't want that to go to waste. And after Jim arrived, I didn't feel like canceling anymore. I decided to just get through the evening and then cut her off. I kept my dignity and stayed calm. I can't say the same about her. After the baby shower ended, Jim apologized again, while Carrie didn't even look at me. He even apologized for that, since I'd taken so much negativity from her. She thought I shouldn't have been at the party and that I inserted myself. It was unpleasant to witness, but at least it was over. When they left, I finally called my husband and told him everything in detail. He was furious and wanted to talk to his sister, but I asked him not to that night. It would only make things worse and cause more fights. I just wanted peace. Apparently, I wasn't going to get it. The next morning, my in-laws called, very angry. They said that after the baby shower, when Carrie and her husband got home, they had a huge fight because I had told Jim everything. Now he had decided to leave and refused to speak to Carrie or anyone in her family, including my in-laws. That was unexpected because as far as we knew, Jim had a great relationship with his wife's family. Their parents were old friends, but after the fight, his family blocked them on social media and everywhere. I didn't understand what this had to do with me, but my in-laws and Carrie thought that if I had just kept quiet and done what Carrie wanted, none of this would have happened. I was shocked they were trying to pin this on me, when it was obviously Carrie's fault. I snapped and said I wasn't going to take the blame because I knew I wasn't at fault. Carrie behaved horribly. I generously let her host for free at my place, and instead of being grateful, she tried to humiliate me by saying I couldn't be at an event in my own house because I supposedly wasn't close enough family, when I am, in fact, her brother's wife. I also told them that if my husband had been home, she wouldn't have dared act like that. I don't regret telling her husband. He was the only reasonable person in the situation. If he decided he'd had enough and wanted to leave, I'm sure he's making the right call because I trust his judgment. I'm not going to fix anything because I don't think I'm guilty, and I don't think Jim is wrong. If he wants a divorce, I support him. I'm not going to ask him for anything. So if my in-laws are calling to make me talk to him and smooth things over, they'll be disappointed because I'm not doing that. After that I hung up and we haven't spoken since, but they keep trying hard to convince me to talk to Jim. 2 days have passed. I haven't blocked them yet, but I'm thinking about it because they keep insisting that the conflict is only between me and Carrie, and I shouldn't have involved her husband. I don't get where they got that idea. Even if it was between me and Carrie, I chose to tell her husband. He's family too, and I decided he should know. I don't think I did anything wrong by telling him, because she treated me badly. I figured her husband should know how she behaves. He's a reasonable person and could influence her. They're trying to twist the situation and make me feel guilty, but they picked the wrong person. I don't feel sorry that he left her, and they keep repeating that because of my decision, her future child might grow up without a father. That feels like too much, but that's how they present it. I don't even know what to say to that. The only reason I haven't blocked them is that their words made me doubt myself. Though my husband thinks I did nothing wrong and said he'll try to talk to his parents and explain it isn't my fault, it's Carrie's. They should talk to her and support her, not attack me. I don't know what to do. I don't feel guilty at all, but judging by their behavior, they won't leave me alone. I just want this to end. I don't even know why it was so important to Carrie that I not be at her baby shower. I have no answers. So, was I wrong to involve my sister-in-law's husband in our argument and tell him how horribly she treated me? Well, write your opinion in the comments about the author's question. Personally, I think the OP did absolutely the right thing, and there's nothing to blame her for. It's good she's firm in her position and barely doubts she did the right thing. As for, the child will be left without a father. Yes, of course that's terrible, but if they don't resolve their issues somehow, sooner or later the child will end up without a father anyway. It's obvious the wife doesn't really want to sort out the conflict with the OP. If she had tried to apologize, maybe it could have been settled, but it seems she doesn't want to resolve anything, and for some reason, They blame the OP. That's nonsense. Let's find out what happened next. Update 1. Hi. It's been almost a week since the baby shower. Carrie and Jim are getting divorced, and now it's final. She hasn't commented publicly yet, but he already announced it on his social media. I didn't think it would happen so fast, but apparently Jim already filed, and soon they'll start the process. As far as I know, they've been living separately since Jim moved back in with his parents. I managed to talk to him, although I didn't think it would be appropriate after everything, because I felt guilty. But after discussing it with my husband, we decided at least someone in our family should reach out. We were the only ones he hadn't blocked, so obviously he left those channels open in case we wanted to talk. I reached out and said I was sorry things turned out this way. That wasn't an apology from me. I just expressed sympathy. Even so, I think he sensed I felt guilty and told me not to blame myself for their divorce. He'd been on the edge for a long time. After going back and forth, I messaged, "What's going on?" because I felt I deserved answers. And oh yes, I got them. We got on a call when I said I wanted to know more. He felt I deserved answers because I genuinely had no idea why Carrie hadn't wanted me at the baby shower. As far as I knew, her only reason was that she wanted only close relatives there. But she invited lots of people who, as far as I know, weren't that close. I saw the guest list. I knew there would be many people. There was no reason I shouldn't be among them. I hadn't had conflicts with those people, and to my knowledge none of them had anything against me. Jim told me the real reason she didn't want to see me. She was expecting a friend she desperately wanted to impress. That friend had married a man from a very wealthy industrial family. Since Carrie was planning to open her own business a couple of months after the baby was born, she hoped that friend's husband would invest in it. She was doing everything to impress this woman. To do that, she staged the baby shower at my house and was going to tell everyone it was her home. Obviously, she couldn't do that if I was around, so she wanted me gone. I didn't agree to disappear, and she didn't expect that. Luckily for me, the friend fell ill that day and couldn't come, but that doesn't change the fact that Carrie tried to pull a stunt. When they got home, he asked her what the heck that was. Carrie admitted she wanted me gone because she wanted to impress her friend and pretend my house was hers. She acted like it was totally normal to pretend to live a different life just to impress someone she went to school with. Jim told her she couldn't behave like that and needed to apologize to me because I had shown generosity and she had humiliated me. She refused to admit she was wrong, and they fought. They'd already had problems for a long time because of her pretend lifestyle. According to Jim, this wasn't the first time she'd been caught trying to be someone she wasn't. From what he said, these issues had been going on for a couple of years. Shortly after the wedding, something changed, and she started living beyond their means and showing everyone they were rich and living a luxury life to impress random people. Apparently, some of her friends made snide remarks about her wedding, and it really got to her. But she's an adult. She shouldn't care so much about that. She should have just stopped talking to those friends, because real friends don't mock your lifestyle or what you can or can't afford. It's not like Carrie and Jim are poor. They have an ordinary life. Maybe they can't live large, but they're doing fine. Jim is a real estate agent, and Carrie works at a marketing firm, but plans to open a business after the baby. All the more reason to save, not spend. Their life is comfortable, not wealthy, and that's perfectly normal. It shouldn't concern anyone, and Carrie certainly doesn't need to impress anyone. Jim tried to explain all this many times, but his words meant nothing to her, and she kept doing strange things to impress others. It caused a lot of problems over the years. Jim kept overlooking it because he loved her, but in recent months it became harder, especially with a baby coming. How could they plan for the future if she kept spending like money grows on trees? They can't afford the lifestyle she wants. She kept buying things without consulting him, and he was fed up. They were arguing too often about it. After the post-baby shower fight, Jim decided he couldn't take it anymore and left. He told me that even if I hadn't called him that day, given how their marriage was going, he would have made the same decision sooner or later. So I shouldn't feel guilty. I talked to my husband, and he said that while he feels bad for Carrie, he can't say it's totally unfair. We weren't friends with Jim, but we knew he was a good husband to Carrie. If he decided to leave, he thought it through. I feel bad for Carrie too, because it's hard, especially during pregnancy, but honestly she did this to herself. I don't understand how a grown woman can care so much about what some gossipy friends think of her life. She's in her 30s. It's time to leave high school nonsense behind. I hope they can talk and figure out what to do next. Either way, I'm not getting involved and will try to keep my distance. They have enough problems. I'm going to block Carrie and my in-laws because I don't think I have anything to say to them right now. I hope they can work it out. Maybe the divorce will be called off, maybe not. I don't know what will happen because even though Jim announced the divorce, when we talked he was very upset. I got the impression he still wants to try and give Carrie a chance, but she's so stubborn that it's very hard for him. Maybe it's a controversial opinion, but I think they should at least try. Maybe she should see a therapist, because acting like this at 30 is not normal. I'd like them to get better for their child's sake. Growing up with divorced parents is hard, and I wouldn't want that for my future niece or nephew. I'll keep you posted, but for now I'm staying out of it and hoping for the best. And my husband will do the same. We'll see each other this weekend when he comes home, but not to visit his parents this time. I'm just glad I no longer have a reason to blame myself. Update 2. My husband came back a couple of hours ago and we talked. He told me he kept in touch with Jim and they've been talking the last couple of days. Jim made it clear that if Carrie apologizes to him for everything and agrees to therapy, he's willing to give the marriage a second chance. My husband is trying to convey that to his sister, but hasn't gotten a reply. His parents said she's avoiding everyone because she's very upset and needs to be alone, so everyone's giving her space. I don't know what she'll decide, but I hope it's wise. About my last post, people called me selfish, saying my husband and I were stingy and didn't help Jim and Carrie. First, I don't even know how many of you got that idea, but let me clarify. We bought this house at a good price. That's why we could afford it. If we couldn't, we wouldn't have bought it. Second, Jim and Carrie are financially stable. I don't think they'd like it if we treated them like they needed our charity. Also, my husband and I are in roughly the same financial position as they are, so I don't see why they'd need our help or the other way around. It's strange that some of you brought this up, but since you did, I felt I should explain. Some of you also didn't like that I said I want them to reconcile and be together because you think Jim deserves better. Maybe he does, but in the end it's his choice. I don't understand why so many of you want to pour hate here, call me names, and call Jim a doormat without even knowing him. They love each other despite their problem. They're having a child together. That's serious. They can't just walk away considering the circumstances. So yes, I wanted, and still want, them to make it work. That's all I wanted to say for now. Update 3. Hello. It's been almost 3 weeks since I wrote here. I just wanted to say that Jim and Carrie decided to reconcile and try to fix things. I'm very happy for them, although Carrie and I still aren't speaking. But my husband told me they agreed to go to couples therapy for a couple of months and see how it goes. They'll still live separately, and when the baby is born, they'll care for the baby together for the first few months. And if things go well, they'll move back in. I'm glad for them. I know this isn't what many of you wanted. Most of you wanted Jim to leave Carrie, but he'll do what he thinks is right for himself, and everyone else will have to accept it. Well, that's all. You see how it ended. For now, they've decided not to split for good. Honestly, I think that's right. They lived together for a while, and even decided to have a baby, so maybe things weren't that bad. I really hope this guy can influence his wife, and she'll come to her senses a bit. At least stop trying so hard to put on a show for her friends. People do get wiser with time. Of course, if someone is raised a certain way, the foundation is set, and she might not change much. But I hope her husband won't bend, won't cave in, and that they'll have a healthy relationship. One where the husband's voice also matters, and the wife relies on his opinion. That's what we all want, those so-called healthy relationships. Thanks for listening to this story to the end. Check out our previous video. You'll see it right here. And be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Good luck to you.